welcome back to the Talkoffame podcast. I am your host, Kylie Mash, and I have been so excited for this episode because I have Colin Mash on today. Colin is an actor based in Philadelphia whose career has spanned all over from musical theater to on-screen endeavors. His latest project was being a contestant for the current season of American Idol. He also performed all over the country with the national tour of hits, the musical produced by music legend Diane Warwick. Colin has been part of screen projects for M. Night Shyamalan, Amazon Prime, and Fairfield Dickinson University. Colin is currently making the Victoria debate this summer with Firebird Theater directing SpongeBob SquarePants, the musical. Welcome to the show. I'm very excited to have you on today.
Hi, Kylie. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me today.
So to kickstart off this episode, like what drew you to the world of musical theater and how has your background in this genre influenced your on-screen endeavors?
Let's see. Well, I feel like to start, music was just always such a staple in my household. My mother was in a local band all throughout her life, and my dad did a lot of stuff with roadie work and instruments, and music really was just always playing in the house. There was always a guitar, there was always some musical playing. I was introduced to The Wizard of Oz at a very young age. That is like the
Mm,
first movie I remember seeing. And I just always was so drawn to the TV when something like The Wizard of Oz came on TV, or if my mom was playing singers like Whitney Houston and Donna Summer, Celine Dion, like that little me just always for loved that. Like it's just what
mhm,
I was always exposed to. So as I got older, I really started to understand what that really all entailed of being on stage and the magic of performing in a show. And it just always intrigued me so much. However, it's really funny because now I'm doing all these like crazy, like on stage in front of a lot of people or touring or American Idol, which takes a lot of like confidence. But when I was a kid, I was one of the shyest kids you would have
me
ever met.
too.
I didn't like people. I wanted like no one to look at me. I was like, oh, but I loved it so much. So it's so funny. It's actually the more I got exposed to everything, seeing shows and seeing more musicals and growing older and really understanding what everything was, that intrigued me even more and made my confidence go up even more to be like, well, I love it so much, I want to try it.
Mhm.
So the first play I did was actually a play version of The Wizard of Oz in third grade, and that kind of jet setted everything. And I did it for fun for a little bit. And then I got to high school where things got a little more serious, and I was in full gear doing every single play, every musical, any music gig I could get, solos in choir, and that just built and built and built to finally where I was like, this is what I want to do with my life. Well, actually, when I first saw the musical Wicked on
Mm.
tour, that's really where I was like, that's what I want to do. How old was I? I had to have been in like fourth grade when I saw Glinda come down in the bubble, and I was like, oh my gosh! I was like, I have to do that. So then I graduated high school, and college came around, and I went to school for musical theater to pursue it and study it full time. And then 3 semesters went by, and I ended up leaving for a bit for a few months until the auditions for Hits the Musical Tour came around, and I was like, let's go for it. I thought it was a scam at first, but I thought, you know what, I'm just gonna go and have fun. And I wore this sequin jacket and was like, I thought to myself, if this is a scam, at least I look fabulous. So I did the audition and I waited a few months and got a final call back, and then they ended up booking me, and I did this whole tour, and the tour really is what opened a lot of doors for me. Quite honestly,
Mhm.
it helped me meet great people in the industry and gave me more tools for what's needed in the industry and how to really carry yourself and what to expect, the good, the bad, and the ugly. But overall, the tour was amazing. But I know we'll get to that later. But yeah, I think it really was the connections that opened me to getting some of these on-screen things, like for American Idol, for instance. Like I think that's really what jet setted me to getting that opportunity because I submitted videos of me from that tour, and that's what made the producers intrigued to bring me back and eventually bring me to Malibu to be on screen. But I really owe all of it to my early on love of theater and wanting to act because all those little plays I did in school and the high school stuff really set me up to be able to do an audition, succeed in an audition, or uh, successfully carry myself in a set environment and all that stuff.
Mhm.
So I really owe it to little curious Colin just going for everything.
I know. It is crazy because Hits the Musical is so big that everyone mostly loves it if you're a theater person. You know, like with me, I was honestly a very shy kid as well. I hated literally everyone else look at me. I literally would buy my eyes out if someone laughed or if someone would look at me. I hated it. And I'm like, there's someone that came over our house. I'd be like, will you leave? Like, this is my territory. Like, why you here? Like, this is my house. This is not yours. Like, just leave. And like, I wasn't a people person when I was growing up, and I just hated people. I was the shyest person ever. And
Right.
no offense to the people that were over. It was nothing about you. It was just me.
Yeah, yeah,
And
it was more so like a fear thing. Like it wouldn't even be so much that I was like, oh, I don't want them here. I would just be like, why are they here? And I would run away and
I was
hide.
the same way. I would just run away, be like, "What is going on? Why did you warn me? That these people are coming over?" Even if it was like family, I would hate it. It was
Oh my
bad.
God.
And honestly, I was, a big musical person growing up. I loved music. I loved movies. I basically loved everything entertainment wise, anything that related arts, I loved. I literally tried things like dancing. I wanted to get to acting at one point. Didn't
Yeah,
work out. I really tried mostly everything, and I really didn't find really anything besides dancing. I love dancing.
yeah,
But that's really the only thing I actually liked. But honestly, I always hated public speaking, and this was honestly my last choice of being, like I never expected to do what I'm doing now. Is I always hated public speaking. I always hated talking to people. So it's like, well, how is it supposed to go well? Those two
right.
things don't combine together. If you're not a people person or don't like to do like talk in public, podcast is not for you. Like this is not for you at all. But with the pandemic and everything, of course things have changed. But with all these things going on, it's just like you have to love the arts at some point. There has to be something that you love.
Yeah, yeah. And I really think it's so cool that you said like you were trying things like dancing and public speaking and acting. Like that's what everything you did, like that's what it's all about. Like
Mhm.
trying it all. I think that's what's so cool about this field is like there's so much to it. And if you really love it, like you just go for it and try this and see if it works. And then if that didn't work out, there's another branch of it that you can try. And there's always
Mhm.
a place that you'll be like, okay, wait, I love this. You know what I mean? There's always
Yeah.
an element that you like fall in love with. And I think that's what's so cool about it.
Hmm. It really is. Like, there's honestly many things you can try. There's not like one specific form that you don't like and you have no other choices. Like, that's so great about like entertainment industry because you can try so many things. It's just not just one option.
Sure. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Of course, with you being from Philly, born and raised, like, what does the Philadelphia theater scene look like? Of course, I never was part of the Philadelphia scene, but with you, you kind of grew up around that. But what is it kind of like for you? Because I know with every city, it's very different.
It's so cool, actually. I think when you think of musical theater, everyone thinks New York, and of course, entertainment, everyone thinks LA. Like those are the two big cities. But I think Philly is actually very underrated when it comes to
Mm.
that. There is so many like theater opportunities, and there's just such a lively theater community here. First of all, we have a whole street in Center City called Avenue of the Arts, and it's just
Mhm.
lined up with theaters. The Wilma Theater, the Academy of Music, the Miller Theater, the Lycora Center. Like there's so many different theaters and there's so many different works being shown. It's not even just the professional tours that run through and go all over the country. Like a lot of these smaller theaters do underground works and up and coming artists are showcasing their new plays or new musicals or there's always cabarets or there's always there's always things going on here, and that's what's so cool.
Mhm.
There's so many opportunities for new artists and up and coming artists like me to really get their face out in the entertainment industry. And we also even have the Walnut Street Theater, which is,
Mhm.
if I'm correct, I think I am correct, the oldest operating theater in the entire United States,
Oh,
which is so,
really?
yes, it's so cool, and it's a gorgeous theater, and they do fantastic shows. Like, I feel like the theater scene is so lively here and so underlooked sometimes. And I wish more people would be like, oh, I want to come to Philly and see what they have to offer because there's a lot of cool things going on. Not even just on Avenue of the Arts. Like, there's other places in Center City that have
Mhm.
smaller theaters here and there doing great works. Another notable mention is the Arden Theater. I've seen great musicals there. I saw a production of Cabaret there that
Ooh.
absolutely shook me to my core. I will never, I saw that in, I think it was like 2018, and just what they did with it was so magnificent. I will never forget it. It's, people need to go to Philly more for theater for sure.
I know. I personally have never went to Philly for theater. Most of the time I go to Philly is for Phillies games. So, I really haven't had the chance
Classic,
to actually go to theaters to actually watch shows, but I always wanted to. It's just a matter of what, if I know someone or that is performing in Philly, or if I like a show that's coming down there, of course I would go. But it always a matter of occasion, it always
for
matters
sure.
what it's about or who I know is gonna be in it. If someone I know is in it or interview, I'm literally going straight down, but of course
Yeah,
I'm 2 hours outside of Philly, so it's
right,
not that far of a drive from where I am. So,
right.
it's not bad, but Philly is actually so underrated in terms of arts. I've heard nothing but amazing things about Philly theater, but mostly people know New York and Los Angeles as a theater or entertainment place. Those are kind of like the two main places besides Atlanta. There's an acting scene down in Atlanta too, but New York
Right.
and Los Angeles are mainly the main places of entertainment or theater. So it's really mainly those two places, but not a lot of people really know about the Philadelphia scene because it's not as widely known as maybe New York or Los Angeles.
Right. And I think it's nice because here in Philly, it's very appreciated. Like the people who live here very much love it, talk about it. I just wish people like all over, like the country would be like, oh yeah, Philly has a great theater scene. Like just I just want people more I just want more people to know that. And I hope to
Mhm.
spread the word because
Yeah,
there's a
hopefully
lot.
this episode actually spreads the word because people need to talk about it, because
Yes,
of
that's what
course
I'm
Philly
saying.
like a lot of people know Philly for, historical things, that's kind of what
Right.
Philly's really known for in the sports teams, of course, but not a lot of people know it for the arts, so that's what we really need to bring more attention to.
I completely agree.
To go back to Hits, so you had the opportunity to work with musical legend Diane Warwick on Hits, the musical. So what was that experience like, and how has it kind of shaped your perspective on the theater industry?
I've got to say, hits changed my life for the better. It was my first like professional theater gig for sure, which
Really?
is really why because up until that point I was at school and like outside of school I was doing community theater and I mean I did work at the Eastern State Penitentiary in Philadelphia for their haunted house stuff. I was an actor there, so I guess that was really my first big theater gig, but this was my
Mhm.
first like on stage professional gig, and for it to have been a national tour was absolutely
Mhm.
wild. Like it was jumping from like 0 to 100 within like my life completely changed. It was crazy. They had us all flown down to Tampa, Florida, and we were put in a hotel for a month with for 2 months with a 1 month break in between to rehearse, and we rehearsed pretty much like every day. And the concept of the show, for anyone who doesn't know, Hits the musical was a big theatrical concert that consisted of medleys of some
Mhm.
of the top hit songs of all time. So Act One was there was a opening number where it was just a mixed bag of hit songs with dancing throughout, and then it was our stage and screen medley, which was a tribute to movie musicals and iconic soundtracks, and then
Mm.
we ended Act One with the rock medley, and then Act Two was all the decades, so all the hits from 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s to 2000s, and every medley consisted of songs within that genre or within that decade. So in like the 80s, we had Material Girl by Madonna, or the
Mm.
90s, we had Wannabe by the Spice Girls. My big number in the 90s was Livin' La Vida Loca by Ricky Martin, and it was a big,
Ooh,
oh my gosh, it was
lit.
so fun. Um, but it was such a fast-paced environment all the time
I can imagine.
because the medleys were so fast, and it was like you do your song on stage and then you get off stage and instantly have to run to the back and change for your next thing to come back on for your next song that's like two songs away. And every song was like a snippet. So like it was very, very fast and it
Mhm.
flowed so well. It was so fun. And I just learned so much on and off the stage. Like on stage, I learned about being in a professional rehearsal room, and how high intensity it can be, or how some days it can be like low intensity and you just have a fun time. And it really opened my eyes on what to expect moving forward as I grow my career and how to carry myself later on. And then off the stage too, I learned how to be on my own for a while, and like because when I was at school, I commuted, so I was still home. So
Mhm.
tour was really my first time living on my own, not even away from home too.
Mhm.
So, which was actually really cool, and I loved every single second of it. It was very easy. Also, Hits brought me my first plane ride ever. First
What?
time ever on a
Really?
plane was with. Yes, my when they flew me to callbacks, that was my first plane ride. At callbacks, I came out to my parents, which was a very big stepping stone for me. What else? There were so many other firsts that were happening. Oh, my first time going somewhere that wasn't connected to PA. So
Oh
like
my gosh.
before I did all this, I had only been to Jersey and New York and
Like those like
Pennsylvania.
surrounding areas, basically.
Yes, like that's literally it. So I went from going to like home in the two other states to literally every state in the country.
It's
It
insane. So of
was
course, one opportunity just gives you two off of the states.
Yeah, it was crazy. And I met people like Dionne Warwick, who are his producer, one of the
Mhm.
biggest music legends of all time that I heard in my household growing up. Suddenly she was in front of my face watching what I was doing on stage and then like promoting us on Good Morning America. Like
That's insane.
it was so insane. And I met other great artists and the staff of people that were our choreographer, Grady Bowman, director, Cynthia Neckvissel, assistant director, Courtney Lopez, social media manager Genesis Vieira, and our costume designer Cynthia Nordstrom and Matthew Solomon. They were just so amazing to us, and they were such visionaries, and they created such a spectacular show that I'm so glad got taken all over the US because it really was just a ball. And I also went through a lot of personal stuff while on that tour that also shaped me. It was a really shaping process, and I would do it again in 2 seconds.
Honestly, I would too. Because of course, with all the experiences you get, like it's really awesome that one opportunity just gives you opportunities that you never got before.
Yes, exactly. It was it's like it when I booked that in when did I book that? August of 2022. If someone had told me in January of that year that all that was about to go down by the end of the year, I would have been like, you're crazy. That's
Like you're insane,
not.
bud.
Yeah, I'd be like, that's actually insane. But it did, and I'm so grateful for it. Beyond grateful for it.
So to wrap this episode up, like what are some like your upcoming projects they have in the works right now?
Yeah, so right now I'm actually directing SpongeBob the Musical Youth Edition for a teen program or a theater company in Phoenixville, Pennsylvania. And
Mm.
this is a teen age group show, and we're having the best time ever. My kids are so fun, and they're so nice, and we're having a good time. My staff, I love them so much. Shout out Sophie, Jackson, Sophia, and Annalise, and Janet. I love them so much, and I love working for this company. And then I actually am performing with the Ocean City Theater Company. I moved there in July, end of July. I'm playing Danny Zuko in Greece for their
Oh,
main stage summer production, which I'm so excited. This is a wonderful professional theater company that I've always wanted to work for, and I'm so blessed that they casted me in their main stage this year as the lead male. So I can't wait to do that. And then after that's done, I begin rehearsals for the Eastern State Penitentiary Halloween gig that always occurs every fall, and I have the best time there. And that's gonna keep me busy like pretty much through the end of the year. So we're
awesome.
ready to go. We're lots of running around, and I love it all. I love because I'm
Yeah.
doing what I love.
For the Ocean City project, are you doing it in Ocean City, Maryland or New Jersey?
New Jersey.
Oh, I was saying I was literally just in Ocean City, Maryland. So imagine if like it would have happened a couple of days ago.
Oh my gosh, I want. Oh my gosh, that would have been so good. I actually have never been to Ocean City, Maryland, which is like
Really?
what?
Oh my
Yes,
gosh.
I've only been to New Jersey, but I want to go to Ocean City, Maryland. I think our family like always went to Jersey,
Hmm.
but I love the beach. Like the
Me
beach is
too.
like, oh my gosh, I could live there every single day. So
Me
I want to
too.
go to like all the shore points, and Ocean City, Maryland is on my like bucket list for sure.
Yeah, you definitely should try. You definitely should.
Yeah.
But thank you so much, Colin, for joining us today. I really appreciate all the work you're doing. I definitely have to see one of your gigs at some point. And
I
thank
would
you,
love that.
everyone listening. And make sure to stay tuned for the next couple of episodes. And thank you so much, Colin, again for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Kylie, for having me. This was so much fun.